Welcome to the Bad Mom Show, where we flip the script on shame, shed light on what's made you feel invisible, and take your story back. It is time to step into that bold, baddie mom you were created to be. Around here, BAD stands for blessed, already approved of, and divinely designed, because you are not a bad mom. You are a leader. You were chosen for your family on purpose. You are divinely designed and anointed as the heart of your home, and you can confidently own your mantle of leadership as a fiery woman to lead with boldness, not burnout. This is your space to reclaim the parts of your story that have felt like weaknesses and discover they were actually your superpowers all along. It is time to shine as a BAD mom. Are you with me? Let's go. Hey friend, how are you? Welcome back to the Bad Mom Show. I'm super excited to have you here today. I am loving this season. I'm telling you, if you've been in a cold weather area, I'm sorry. I hope it's warming up, but it is amazing. The weather down here in Florida this time of year is just my favorite. It's like 70s, but not so humid yet. And it's just so refreshing. So I hope it's warming up where you are. I hope you're feeling the refreshment soon. And if not, make a trip to Florida. Come visit. But I hope you are doing well. Today was hair day. And you know what? Hair day is always a good day. So of course I was like, I gotta get on here. I gotta do a podcast, right? Because I'm feeling myself. If you're watching the video, I'm being silly. Okay. Well, today I have a message for you. I think it's a one that will hit home for many of us ladies because I think a lot of us do this. So let's talk about it. Tell me if this feels like you. You love to plan. You love to map out all the details ahead of time. You like to feel like you know all the details. So you like to think ahead. Before you make decisions, you might weigh out every option. You might also imagine every worst case scenario so you can tell yourself you're prepared for anything that could come along the way. Is any of this resonating or feeling familiar? Because I know for myself, it's sounding very familiar. And if you haven't guessed what I'm talking about the way we overthink things and what overthinking things is actually doing to us because it's not serving you. I know that it masquerades as productivity. It feels productive, sure, to constantly be thinking about things, planning things. It feels like you're being careful, right? Especially as a mom. I mean, if you can think of every worst case scenario and avoid danger for your child, obviously, like that's an important quality to have. It feels very responsible. But it's actually, excuse me, the reality is overthinking is not productive. It's really spinning your wheels, and it's what's keeping you from growing in areas that you want to grow or from progressing in places that you maybe are trying to grow. It's what's it's what keeps us stuck in behaviors and beliefs and even situations that we say we want to work on or we want to grow through, but in reality, we have not made much progress. And that's not to make you feel bad. It's just the truth of it. I know when I am overthinking something, what happens? I end up usually stalling out, you know, because overthinking is exhausting. It's exhausting. And it's a result, honestly, if we really think about it, it's a result of doubt. It's doubting your belief in yourself, in your abilities, in your qualifications. And it's honestly, it's doubting that God has got your back, that He will show up for you, that you can trust Him to be in control and not yourself. And yeah, it's not helpful, but I get it. It feels helpful. It feels like you have control over the situation. And that, unfortunately, is a very false sense of control. You know, you tell yourself, like, well, I'm weighing out all the options. I've thought of every solution possible. I've thought of every problem possible and how I can prevent it. That if we do all that, then we will avoid the pain or the embarrassment or the potential failure that could be on the other side of our decision. But this feeling of I need to feel in control, actually, we're going to go there. It stems from a deeper place. And we talk about our stories a lot here because our stories influence everything, especially our beliefs. And then from our beliefs flow our feelings, our emotions, and our actions, our choices. So it's really coming from a place of feeling so out of control inside that if I can micromanage my exterior world and the decisions that I'm making that impact my life, that feels like a sense of control. Like, okay, it could even settle this inner turmoil, this chaos. And you'd be like, I don't have chaos inside. I don't have inner turmoil. Well, if you're overthinking things a lot and you're ruminating, you probably do have something going on there because all of that creates anxiety and it flows from a place of doubt, worry, and fear, really. So let's discuss where that root might possibly lay. Now, we've talked about how story impacts us, but really it originates in our earlier years. It's things that we adapted to, ways of living that helped us survive. That's what your brain is meant to do. So if you grew up in a house where it felt unpredictable, maybe there were tempers and moods that were not predictable. Maybe you felt like you really had to walk on eggshells to not disrupt anyone. Or, just that uncertainty, not knowing of like what version of this person am I going to get? And usually it's a caretaker. You may have developed this sense of I need to be prepared for whatever could become in my way. And that's true. That you probably did need to do that to keep yourself safe. You might think, unless I am sure about this situation, it's not worth getting into. So you become very hyper vigilant, like just almost reading the room before you even enter it to just know, like, okay, I have an escape route, even. Or just sensing the energy of people, right? Trying to sense, like, am I safe? Is this going to be okay? Or maybe you grew up in a really rigid home where perfection was expected, failure was not an option, or it was really frowned upon. It was something to avoid. So instead of doing what you learned was, I'm not going to do something unless I am 100% sure that I can do it. Or I'm not going to speak or ask a question unless it's aligned with the expectations of how I should speak, had the delivery of it, like what I should say. So you're very measured, you're very calculated. But again, this is all old survival brain strategies, just trying to keep you safe. And it's masquerading as responsibility and being careful, being a good mom, even. But it's fear based. And anything fear based is not from God. Yes, sometimes he asks us to do things that make us feel scared because we know it's going to challenge us, but that's not the same as knowing that you're operating from a place of doubt and worry and fear. And because you hear the thoughts that come with that, like, oh man, I don't know if I'm qualified to do this. I don't know if I can do this. What if I fail? Oh my gosh, that could be so embarrassing. What if, you know, people see me and then judge me and, well, what if I don't do it as well as she does? I mean, this overthinking literally wraps you up in a tizzy. And comparison is very much attached to that. So it's this sense of like, my worth is not enough. If I'm not as good as she is over there, it's seeking approval. Like, okay, well, I've got to show up well. And I'll only know that by reading their response, they're getting their approval. And if not, then like, is it even worth doing? And it leads to the worst part is it leads to indecisiveness, right? Where you end up talking yourself out of potentially your blessings, your calling, wherever God is leading you. You can literally talk yourself out of it because of living in this indecisiveness from overthinking and ruminating on things for so long. So we weigh all our options. We tell ourselves we like to plan and be prepared. And trust me, like I am speaking from personal experience here. And I have admitted it many times. I'm like, change really rattles me. But guess what? It's supposed to. It rattles everybody. We're not meant to just stay in our little bubbles of comfort. That's not how we grow. That's not how you step out and take steps of faith with God and, learn more about who you are and who you were meant to be. That's just playing it safe. That's when we shrink and we stay small and, tell ourselves, no, this is good enough. But deep down, you feel a stirring. You felt called to do something else, but you let fear talk you out of it. So don't do that. This is to encourage you to do the scary thing, right? Because if we overthink things, then you get discouraged and you're like, man, I should have done that. I should have made that phone call. I should have asked the question. I should have gone to that event, but I didn't. And then it just further fuels that spiral of disbelief and discouragement and self-doubt. And you're not meant to stay there. So let's talk about some of these things. Where we get it wrong is we think that alignment with God, with our purpose, is going to come through like, well, I prayed and I asked God, and I didn't get it 100% for sure, yes. So I don't know. I don't think I'm meant to do that. He's not going to come with that. No. He might give you a tiny little step, itty bitty. That's why it says in the Bible, breadcrumbs. He lays breadcrumbs. But you got to take that first little step, and then he gives you another and another. But taking that first little step can feel really scary. So no, alignment with God does not mean you have no fear. You have fear, but you also have conviction because you've gone to him and you trust and you know that, well, he said it. He called me to it. I know he's going to do it. I know he's going to show up. I know he's not going to leave me hanging. We want the full blueprint. We're like, okay, if I am really meant to do this, he's going to give me the whole strategy. No, that never happens. I mean, welcome to motherhood. Hi, here's a baby. You can read all the books, you can watch all the YouTubes, but until you're in it, man, you don't know what you're doing. And then once you're in it, it is a lot of making mistakes and learning from them and, trial and error. But like, especially with the first baby, you did this because I did it too. It's like, well, which food do I feed them? Or which diaper is the best diaper? And I don't want them to, give them the wrong lotion. They might have a rash. They might develop eczema or, we wrap ourselves up. We overthink every little thing about that baby, and that baby is just fine, right? You could just put an old t-shirt on them and a diaper and they'd be happy. But yes, we overthink every little detail because we doubt ourselves. We are doubting we're able, we're qualified, that we'll know what to do in this situation. And of course, we want to be protective and it feels responsible to overthink, but it's not. It's wrapping you up in a tizzy. Hey friend, I am so excited to share this with you. I am hosting my event, Awaken the Heart of Your Home, a spring session on Friday, May 1st here in Tampa, Florida. This gathering is something I wish I had years ago. It is a space where we can come together as women, as moms, and slow down. We get to leave the busy schedule at the door and truly create the space to get honest with ourselves and with God about where we're at in our season, what our dreams are, and what's getting in the way of us fulfilling them. This is your opportunity to be real, to hear from God in a personal way, and to walk away with greater clarity, conviction, connection with other like-minded women, and a bolder belief in your calling and purpose as a leader in your home. You carry a divine calling, and you were chosen for such a time as this. But the world keeps us busy and distracted, and we have lost sight of that authority. This is your time to reclaim it. We do this work together because we were created for connection, and we heal in connection. I kept it intimate though, so space is limited. If this speaks to you at all, I would love for you to reach out to me and I will share details with you. Again, it's happening on Friday, May 1st with a welcome and worship the night prior, and it will most definitely change you. There is no way you will leave that room the same. I hope to see you there. I can't wait. Let's get some scripture thrown at this, shall we? So Proverbs 3, 5 through 6 says to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So that sounds like, well, I trust you, God. I know you called me to it. I don't understand it, but I know you do. So I'm going to trust you. So overthinking is not leaning on your understanding. It's leaning on trust and belief that God's got you. So what does alignment look like? Well, it looks like taking action without full clarity, like we just said. And that's in the Bible all over the place. In Hebrews 11:1, it says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for." I hope this turns out well. With the conviction of things that are not yet seen. So faith is the substance of things hoped for, but you don't really see it yet. But I'm believing, I have faith that God can do this. I have faith that He'll see me through this, but I have no idea how it's going to turn out. But I'm trusting and believing. I like the Passion Translation. It says, "Now faith brings our hopes into reality and becomes the foundation needed to acquire the things we long for." So you better have some faith because without it, you really have an unsteady foundation. And that's when we overthink and we get ourselves all worked up. It is all the evidence required to prove what is still unseen. So we don't really need to know all the details. We tell ourselves we do, but you don't. But then you also need to take action. And the Bible talks about this a lot. You can't have faith without action. There's actually a verse, I thought I wrote it down somewhere. I don't know. I have my notes, but I don't think I did. But anyway, there is a verse about that. Like faith without action is dead. So it's not like, oh, shoot, make this another thing I have to go do, but really saying, okay, like if I know God's called me to this, I'm not going to spend time ruminating and questioning and overthinking and talking myself out of it. No, like if I know it's from Him, I know He's called me to it, I'm going to take that messy action, take that one little step. And that's co-laboring with God. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Meaning, like, don't do things because other people are doing it. Don't do things for the approval of other people. Do it in alignment with that your calling, your purpose, your giftings, and then let it be. I know it sounds easier than it is, but it truly is the way. Ephesians 2:10, I love this verse. This verse was like my verse last year. "Even before we were born, God planned in advance our destiny and the good works we would do to fulfill it." So He's already got it planned. Can we just give ourselves a little break and relax into that? Imagine how much more fun we would have in all the things that we commit ourselves to. Even the little daily things. Like you can overthink every detail about being a parent, every detail about your marriage, you know? But that's not fun. That's when like we lose our joy. And trust me, like I know part of this is the enemy's plan. Like he doesn't have to get you to quit. He just has to get you to question your ability, your calling, get you to question if God even hears you. If he can get you to question all that, you'll pull yourself out of the game yourself. He doesn't even have to do it. James 1:6, this is a good one. Write this down. Says, "The one who doubts is like a wave of the sea blown and tossed about by the wind." Just think about that. That's what living in doubt is like. It's like being tossed around, blown around by the wind. And that's honestly, isn't that how it feels? Doesn't it feel like you're getting tossed around in your head? You're like, oh my gosh, my thoughts are spinning. I feel like my head's gonna pop. And it feels very unsettling, right? You might feel like, no, like I feel really in control. Actually, overthinking, it really does help me. But deep down, it's an anxious, tense, unsettled feeling. It definitely does not feel like you're in alignment. So what can we do? What can we do? I wish I could just tell you to stop, but that's not how this works. So let's try a few things. The first thing you can do is acknowledge the fear. Acknowledge that you're overthinking when you feel it coming on and you hear the thoughts swirling. Just stop for a second and be like, okay, why am I overanalyzing everything? Why am I trying to feel in control? What do I need to feel in control of? What feels out of my control? And it's going to be something that is fear-based. So, okay, what am I so afraid of right now? Am I afraid of failure? How can I reframe that word so it doesn't sound like a negative thing to avoid. Maybe growing up it was, but it doesn't have to be anymore. And same thing with the word success. Like, what does that mean to you? Is it accolades and achievements, or is it, I was successful today because I showed up. I made the call. I got in the room. I took one little step of messy action. I went for a walk. Like, we overcomplicate it when it really is. We need to simplify, right? And give ourselves credit. Just take the little step. But okay, so we're going to name what we're afraid of. And now we have those clues to work on what those roots are in your story. And again, if you have not listened to past episodes about working on your story, please go listen to them. We want to have curiosity, especially things that make us feel shame. Don't shut that down. Don't let the shame speak louder than the truth. Condemnation is not from Christ, but if you are thinking of an area that brings up shame, that's a really good place to dig deeper with Christ, with his help, and say, okay, what did I need in this moment? Why am I feeling this way? And he'll lighten that for you. But we can talk more about that another time. Okay, so once you name the fear, well, identify the fear, I want you to name it out loud. I want you to, if you're alone, just say it out loud. Like, Lord, I am really scared of being embarrassed. I'm scared of this not working out exactly the way I would like it to. I am scared of change. I am honestly scared of not knowing the outcome. That makes me feel really uncertain. It makes me feel really unstable. It makes me feel out of control. Be honest. Name it out loud, especially if you can name it to a trusted person. Don't just say it to anybody. Trusted person. And if you need someone to call, shoot me a DM. I will help you. But naming it literally, it's like when your kid tells you something they're afraid of, and the minute they say it, you can almost tell they're like, like say like they're afraid of the dark, and you're like, turn on the lights. There's nothing to be afraid of. Like, let's go around. And they're just like, oh, you're right. So it dispels the fear that comes from letting things stay inside of us in the dark. When we expose it to the light, when it comes out of us verbally and you get it out of your body, it loses its power already. You start to feel like, oh, that's actually not so bad. And if you have a trusted person to sit with and reflect back to you, like, hey, I see your greatness. I'm going to call that is a lie. Like, no, you are totally made for this. You are so capable. You are awesome. Like, whatever it is, that will really help build your belief. Okay. Another thing we can do is partner with God. That takes the pressure off of you. I mean, we should be doing that anyway, but when we're overthinking, we're trying to take things into our own hands. It's okay. No judgment. Just be curious. But really, have you asked God if it's from him? Say, Lord, is this from you? If you're not sure, if you don't have that like gut feeling, yes, I know it's from God, have you prayed on it? You know, I don't make big decisions without bringing it to God, surrendering it to him, but like really listening, like, hey, okay, talk to me about this. Go to scripture, look for verses that he will give you to back it up if it's from him. And if it's not from him, he will guide you, he will show you. And then just it's an owning, like, this is not by my strength, Lord. This is you. Like, okay, you gave me the idea, but now I'm putting it on you. And he loves that. The Bible says he orders our steps in Psalm 37. So, what would happen? This is the question I want you to ask yourself. What if you felt the fear, you felt the uncertainty, and instead of overthinking, you just did it anyway, right? Ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? And can I live with that? And don't tell yourself no. Let's be honest, okay? What if you sent that email? What if you sent the application? What if you had the hard conversation and set the boundary? What if you showed up, got in the room? My event's coming up at the end of March. And if that feels like something is stirring in you, but you have some uncertainty and you're starting to overthink whether or not you're meant to be there, get in the room. You know, Start the thing. Believe in yourself as a mom. Give yourself grace. You're doing great already as it is. There's not one more thing you have to add. Just showing up, right? I guarantee if you face the fear and you do the thing anyway, it is going to grow you in ways that you never could have imagined. It will build belief in you about yourself, your capability, but also it'll build your belief in God and who He is and how much He cares about you. That has been the greatest gift to me, I think, by getting out of the rut of overthinking and taking steps of action that feel scary, but knowing they're aligned with Him and where He's called me and the giftings, the talents that He's given me, and the way that I am meant to share that with the world. We're not meant to hold those things to ourselves. We are meant to share them with the world. It talks about that all over the Bible too. So Google that if you'd like to. But it will give you clarity in your direction, even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, even if it's like a total flop. I'm not going to say failure because, failures are ways we learn. But if it feels like a flop and you're like, man, that didn't turn out very well. Okay, Lord, give me a new direction. Like, how should I pivot? What do I take from this? You always will learn something from it. That's what we tell our kids, right? That's how we learn. But the same thing goes for you. And He opens doors. You will see new opportunities that you could not have seen until you take that first step and do the thing, whatever it is. And the best part is you continue to grow more and more into the person that you were meant to be. So you don't need more time to think. Get out of that analysis paralysis. Stop telling yourself that it's how you're built. Maybe it's how you learned to get by and your brain wired, but it wasn't how you were created to be. There is a better way, an easier way, a simpler way that has less pressure. And that's surrendering that control, getting out of overthinking cycles, slowing down long enough to say, what's really going on here? Naming that fear, naming it out loud, going to God with it, partnering with Him, and then saying, you know what? I might feel afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway and just see what happens. And I'd love to hear how it goes. So, what is one small step that you could take today in a direction where you know you're overthinking something? You probably weighed out all the options, the outcomes. What's one small step that you could take? I want to hear about it. So, shoot me a DM. Let me know. And if this message spoke to you, please share it with a friend. Share it with another mom who is also overthinking things, maybe wearing it as a badge of honor, right? I'm a planner. That's what I used to say all the time. I'm a planner. Well, guess what? We're not in charge of the plan all the time. And we can have an idea of how it goes, but partnering with God on your plan, with His master plan, usually goes a lot better. So that is my message for you today. I hope it spoke to you. Again, please subscribe to the show. Leaving a review always helps get this message out to more and more women just like yourself who need to hear this because we're in it together. I'm in it with you. All right. I'm believing in you. Let me know how it goes. Seriously, shoot me a DM. I read them all and I'll respond. And I will see you next Wednesday. New episodes every Wednesday morning. I'll see you then.